For the bottom line on both of those elements that Nick was just talking about, let's bring in George Stephanopoulos, host of This Week, getting ready for this morning's show. Good to see you, George.
Hey, Bill.
We've seen this movie before with the Pakistanis going into the mountains, but with sort of disappointing results in terms as far as U.S. commanders are concerned. How does this change the dynamic for the president's decision on troops?
Well, I think this is something that the president wants to see right now. I think the administration had been concerned that after a pretty brutal offensive in the spring, the Pakistanis had backed off a little bit, and that created space for the Taliban to come back. They certainly want to see the Pakistanis going in and clearing out the Taliban in Waziristan. They believe right now inside the White House that Pakistan is a far more serious threat than Afghanistan. Both important, but the fact that Pakistan has nuclear weapons makes them a more serious threat. They know the Taliban has to be taken care of there. But I wouldn't expect any decision from the president until we see greater results on this offensive, but even more important, until that whole dispute over the Afghan election comes to some conclusion. And I think the preferred solution for the administration there is that some kind of a coalition government is formed between President Karzai and the runner-up, Abdullah.
What are the chances of that happening, you think?
It depends on what happens over the next couple of days. I think they hope that the Election Commission will call for a runoff election, but once it's called for, once Abdullah, the runner-up, wins that, he'll say, listen, I'm not going to go through with it. Instead, if you take some of my representatives in your government, President Karzai, then we can reach a coalition.
Okay, let's shift over to the battle over health care. The president used his weekly radio address, his YouTube address, to really go after the health insurance lobby, calling them deceptive and dishonest for that report they put out saying that costs would go up if this reform package goes on. Did they help or hurt his cause with that report, you think?
It's hard to know. I mean, I think they made it more likely that they're going to get their worst nightmare, which is a public health insurance option, although it's still a very, very difficult road for the president to follow. It was fascinating yesterday in that radio address. The president also suggested that he was going to take away, that he would be willing to support taking away the antitrust exemption that the insurance industry has worked under for the past 50 years. He says that has led to unforgivable profits and bonuses. That is a huge threat by the president. It shows he's ready to play hardball